The main one we've got is 19th of March at Dagenham. We've got some of our more experienced boxers on there. We've got Yassine El Maachi, who just beat the European number 4 Jimmy Colas. He's going to be out there. We haven't decided who the opponent will be yet, but he'll be topping the bill. Alongside him will be Ryan Barrett, who has had a resurgence since we've looked after him. He's had 4 wins on the bounce, and he's now looking to take on another foreign opponent. We're looking at some of the better foreign names for him, and Ryan will hopefully get a British title shot sometime in the back end of 2011. Tony Conquest, who's one of the top 10 cruiserweights in the country, he's having his 6th pro fight. He was due to fight in December, but he tore a cartilage in his knee, but he's going to be back out. John Wayne Hibbert, 7 out of 7. He's going to be back on. He's got a big following, so he creates a very good atmosphere. Pat McAleese from the TKO gym, he'll be making a comeback after his loss for the Masters title against Lee Noble. And then we've got some good up-and-coming prospects as well on that card. The card 2 weeks before at York Hall features a lot of up-and-coming prospects. It's a case really where we're going to be showcasing a lot of debutants, some very exciting coming into boxing. The World Kickboxing Champion makes his pro debut at York Hall, as well as the comeback of Michael Devine, who we're hoping for big things throughout 2011. And topping the bill's Tox Owo, who's looking to forge towards British European class, and he'll be topping the bill on that show. And there's about a 15 fight, there'll be a 15 fight bill at the York Hall show, so it's going to be quite a big night of action, 6 hours of it, I think. Well, Yassine's doing a fantastic job. I mean, he's trained by Don Charles, who's a superb trainer in Finchley, who looks after Derek Chisora, Josie Alusigans, and since Charles has taken over his training, he's not lost a fight. We got involved with Yassine last year. We only started promoting in March 2010, and we've guided him. He's beaten Bertrand Aloa, and then he beat the European number 4 Jimmy Colas last time. We're delighted with the way he's going. But what we need to try and do for Yassine is to get him a British passport, because he's not eligible for a British passport for the next couple of years. And because of that, he's not eligible to fight for British, European or Commonwealth titles, which really makes it difficult for him, because nobody in Britain wants to fight him. They will write, they will say that they want to fight him, they're prepared to fight him, but they are all, every single one of them, too scared to fight him, because, and I do understand this part of it, because he offers them nothing, because they know they're probably going to lose, and if they beat him, that doesn't elevate them in the British, European or Commonwealth rankings as such. So it's quite frustrating for him, and it's also frustrating for me that people call him out but won't fight him. But if we get a British passport for him, which we are hoping to, then he will then become right up in the rankings for British, English, European, Commonwealth titles, and that's the time they won't be able to avoid him anymore. Basically, Yassine has been in this country now for 5 years, but my understanding from an immigration lawyer is that the government have to be convinced that he's capable of fighting for world title and representing Britain at world level. Now, Yassine basically now would be, I would hope when ratings are published, be in the top 40 of some of the world bodies. But we have to try and convince the Home Office that he is truly capable of competing at world level. Now, that's a subjective issue, but we have to try and put a case together to get them to do that. The problem that we've got is unless he gets a British passport, it's going to be very difficult to prove that he's capable of being at world level, because nobody wants to fight him. But hopefully the fact he beat the European number 4 last time and beat him convincingly will persuade them and give him some hope of getting that British passport, because he's based in Britain, he's married, he's got 2 children that are born in Britain. You know, it's his home. Well, the aim originally, I've only started, my first promotion was only 9 months ago, and we've done 5 promotions already, which I think is, I think people are saying is quite an ambitious thing. As I say, I'm promoting 2 shows in March, but originally I come from a horse racing background and a financial services background, and a good friend of mine, Joe Gregory, who does a lot of work in my gym in Finchley, has always been pushing me to become a promoter. He said, well, you can bring the skills that you've got in other businesses into boxing. And in 2009, I decided I was going to give it a go. So I spent 12 months going up and down the country just researching how boxing is run. because I felt that if I felt it was at its optimum level, there was no point me getting involved unless I felt I could do it better. But after seeing the problems that promoters and managers and everybody has got, I had a look and I thought, no, I think I can bring something to this sport, and that's why I got involved. And it was quite a daunting thing because I don't come from boxing, so consequently I've had to forge relationships and associations over that period of time, but it must be working well because by the time I've got to March, we've had to put 2 bills on to cater for the amount of people that want to fight on our shows. So it's working well. Long term, the ambition obviously, like anything else, is to become a big TV promoter. There is no TV money out there at the moment, so what I have to do is put myself in pole position so that when we can get terrestrial TV coverage or decent TV coverage for right money where boxers can be paid well, apart from Sky, who are the only people doing it, then I want to be in pole position to be able to move into that area and become a big TV promoter and a big worldwide promoter, which is what I'm aiming to do, but it'll take time. Well, we've got a very really good girl who works at the BBC who comes and does that for us, and we did it at York Hall a few times. We had a problem in the sound system at York Hall is not that great, so we had a problem the first few times that it wasn't able to be heard above the in the arena. But the idea is to interview boxers after the bouts, to let the crowd to interact with them, feel what they felt after the fights, and just give a totally different enjoyment for crowds. Because I think at boxing, when I've gone to boxing arenas, you see people being interviewed on television, but you can't hear them. And I think it was really good to have it coming through the systems and seeing how they feel after the fight. And it's something we'll definitely be doing at Dagenham, at the Dagenham show, because the sound system there works better. York Hall is a problem for doing it because sometimes you just can't hear it clearly enough, and that is a bit frustrating. But Dagenham apparently has got a much better sound system, which should be able to be done effectively. And that's just one of the things we want to do. We've had different cheerleading groups there. We've got tunnels and flashing lights and smoke machines and lasers and everything else just to make the entrance big. I mean, the Yassine El Maachi walk-on last time was fantastic, everybody said, so that went down well. And one of the things we will be aiming for this year is to bring rock bands in and to actually have entrances of our boxers to rock bands. I think that's a new thing that we're going to be introducing sometime in 2011. This year, I think we've got a lot of work, what I consider to be work in progress. They're just not ready for the big fights yet, but they're on the way through. The one that is making a resurgence is Ryan Barrett, who now is basically back in the top 10 in Britain. So hopefully he'll get a big fight this year. Obviously, the issue will be that because I haven't got television, that will, unfortunately, it probably won't be on our show because we won't be able to financially make that. But he should be ready to go. So what I'm actually looking at this year in terms of, I think Yassine is the one that's got to do it this year because he's 31. Tox Owo now, he's made a comeback at 38, and he's hoping to make big waves in the cruiserweight scene this year, and Tox is signed to us for this year, so hopefully he'll be able to make it. So they would be the 3 fighters this year I would expect to make the grade. Over the next 2 years, we're building up a lot of boxers that we've got on 2-year and 3-year deals, so that when we are able to make the breakthrough, that we will be able to build them up, and so really I've got to have a mix between the ones that are going to do it now and look at who's going to be able to produce at the time in the next 12-18 months, where I do believe that we'll be able to get the television coverage, and I need the boxers then ready to go at that point. So I'm actually looking for the medium term as well. The biggest problem that I feel I've had in boxing is trying to bring the full business element into boxing. It seems to be that some people in boxing will sign contracts, but don't actually feel that they should honour those contracts because they just don't feel that that should be what it is. I believe that, as I've done in all my businesses, that I will never break a promise, I'll never tell a lie, but if you sign something and you sign an agreement, you honour that agreement, and I expect that of both parties. And there have been times in the last 12 months where I've had disputes with people who don't want to honour those agreements. And I think that boxing needs, as a whole, needs people to understand what they sign when they sign it, be totally, and to basically honour what they sign. But I think too many people sign bits of paper with either not reading it properly or not caring what they sign and thinking it'll be all right on the day if they don't honour their side of it. So that's been the most difficult part. The most enjoyable bit has been actually establishing connections with people and meeting some very, very good people through boxing, and meeting some boxers and helping people. I mean, I've helped Yassine, that's been great. But the biggest thing really has been working through the boxing industry and working out who the people that I can work with and the people that I can't work with, and that's been really the biggest test, because coming from nothing, that's been a very, very, very fast learning curve. Well, I think this year it's going to. I mean, last year was a year of where it was our infancy year really, and I think this year is going to be a year of consolidation and moving forward into that position. I've got this vision of being, if you imagine being the person that when the plug opens I can jump through it first. But I think this year is going to be a stage of putting on good shows, plenty of them, and trying to consolidate myself as a decent promoter, and as one of the top non-TV promoters out there. And that's really all I can expect to do. There is no TV money out there this year, it doesn't appear to be. So on that basis, you can't have aspirations for something that's not attainable. That's not attainable, but I need to put myself in that position so that everybody knows that as soon as it does become attainable, that I'm there to grab hold of that opportunity.